In this video I'm going to talk about HTML5 tags and tag attributes. Also I'm going to talk about tables, forms and much more. So let's get started. I'm going to create an anchor tag, which is an A, and then it has an attribute href, which stands for hypertext reference, and it is used to tell the browser where to go when the link is clicked. In this case I want it to go to google.com. But go to Google, and when I click on this it changes the page to Google. Supposing I want the page not to be changed but to open a new tab. I'll copy this down. And then I can create another attribute, which is target equals underscore blank. I'll put this on another line, and I'll change this to open new tab for Google. Then when I click on that, it opens a new tab to Google rather than change the page. These both on the same line. If I want these to go on separate lines, I can use another tag, a BR tag for break. So BR breaks the page so these go on separate lines. So now they're on separate lines. I've used two attributes in this anchor tag, the href and the target. I want to talk some more about attributes. Tag attributes have the form tag name and then the attribute name, and then you have an attribute value inside quotes, and then you have the content and the end tag name. All tags can have attributes. They provide information about an element, and they are placed with the start tag as here, and they are key value pairs like this ID. The ID is the key and some ID is the value. So I'm going back to Visual Studio Code. I want to talk about the table tag element. This is for tabular data. So table, and then you have a T head and a T body, and inside here TR for table row, and then inside the table row you have a TD for table data. So I'll make this name, and this one I'll make email, and this one we'll make this age. So save that. And you see now I've just got the table headings: name, email and age. Now in the body I'll put the actual data. So again you have a TR for the table row, and then TD again, and I'll give my name Lawrence Turpin. And this will be an email. I'll call it lawrence@whatever.com. This will be my age, which is 65. I'll copy this down a few times. See what we've got now. So there we are. It doesn't look very good because we haven't used any CSS to style it. I can get it looking better with a couple of table attributes. The first one is border. I'm going to set that to 1. And that gives me the border of about 1px. And then the other one is cell padding, to give me a bit of padding, and I'll set that to 10 pixels. So now that looks a lot better. It used to be that tables were used for laying out a form, but now we have modern CSS and it's much better for layout. So you use tables just for tabular data and use CSS for your layout. Next thing I want to talk about is forms. Normally with a form, starts off form, and then you have a couple of attributes. One is an action. The action attribute gives a location on the server where the form will be processed. I'm going to call this file process.php. And there's normally a method, which is usually a post method. I will explain later about the form methods. And then inside here have a div, and then a label, for first name, and input type equals text, and name equals first name, and then you have a placeholder with some text, enter first name, so if I save that, I get first item, first name, and the input box all on one line. So if I copy this, copy it down, Change first name to last name. Last name. Enter last name. Get that. Then if I copy it down again, make this email, and if I make the type email too, making the type email gives you some crude validation. Change the name to email. Enter your email address. Got the email now as well. So each of these is a label and an input. Label and input. You may be wondering what the divs are for. It says that each of these goes on a separate line. Let me show you what happens when you don't have the divs, but I'll comment these out. See, now it's on the same line. If I expand that, it's all on the same line. So now it's gone back. So next I'm going to create another div, and here I'm going to have another label. This is going to be message, and this is going to be a text area. You see, you've got a text area as a larger space. If I want a larger space, I can use attributes. I can use rows, 5, and cols, make that 40. So now we have a larger space. So next I'm going to create another div and a label. This one's going to be age. I'm going to have an input, and the type this time is going to be number. Name equals age, and value equals 30. So we have a default value in this time. It comes up 30. Right, I'm going to create another div and another label. Is it going to be birthday? And the input type is going to be date. And the name is going to be birthday. You see a date comes up like this, and if you click on this, you get a little calendar where you can select the date, like so. Lastly, I'm going to create a submit button. There's two types of submit button. The first one is with an input box, like so. Type equals submit, and the value equals submit. So there's our submit. But that's not my preferred choice of creating a button. I prefer to use an actual button. So I prefer to do it like this. Button type equals submit, name equals submit, submit. Having the tags with opening tag and an ending tag, it means you can put other HTML inside here, so you can make a more customizable button if you need to. Getting back to the methods for posting the user input, there is post and get, as I said before. The get method is used to request data from a specified resource, and the user input is attached to the URL. Let me show you. Change this to get. Save that. Fred blogs. Fred at somewhere.com. If I submit that, see it's going, or expand it, see it's going across with the URL. Anyone can see it, and it's not very secure. If I change this back to post, the post method is used to send data to a server to update a resource, and the method attaches the user input to the body of the request sent. So it is much more secure because you cannot see the user input. So if I save that, I go back, refresh that, do it again, Fred blogs, Fred at somewhere.com, and submit that. See, nothing goes across with the URL. So the next tag I want to talk about is the image tag. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new folder here. I'm going to call this images. This is image I got from, I think it's Unsplash, but you can use any image for this. And if I put it in there, that's right. Okay, so that's there. And then down here, what's the name of the image called? Profile 4 JPEG. Right. So IMG source is profile 4 JPEG. Might have to put the images, profile for JPEG, and then also you need an alt attribute as well, and put face of a girl. So this will come up if the file isn't found. So if I save that, and that, so we've got the image there. Now if I want to resize it so as it fits on the page, I can just do width equals 200. See now, and the height adjusts to keep the aspect ratio correct. I'll make it a bit bigger. Let's make it 400. That's better. You can see it clearly now. If I adjust the height as well, that will work, but it will distort the picture. So if I make the height 400 also, see it's squashed it up. And if I make it even smaller, make it like 200, it'll become even more obvious. So either I just set the width. The next tag I want to talk about is the block quote tag. The block quote tag is used purely for marking up sections of your page as quoted from another source. You have a cite attribute that tells you where the original quote came from. Block quote cite equals https www.rspca.org.uk advice and welfare pets, dogs. And here I'm just going to copy and paste the quote. So you have an opening and closing block quote tag with the actual quote in between the tags, and you have a cite tag that tells you where the quote came from. So I'll save that. And there it is down the bottom. The next tag I want to talk about is the ABBR tag. You have an ABBR tag for abbreviations. For instance, www is the World Wide Web. So what I'm going to do is create a P tag, P, and then inside here and then ABBR, then title equals World Wide Web, WW is great. If I go down here, WW is great, and if I hover over it, you get a tooltip that says World Wide Web, which is this here, where it says title. The last tag I want to cover for this video is the site tag. The site tag defines the title of a creative work. For instance, I'll give you an example here. P tag, and then site the Scream by Edward Munch painted in 1893. Notice that the site, the Scream, is in italics. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this video. If so, please subscribe for more.